Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself wondering quietly in the back of your mind if something as simple, as private as masturbation could actually be doing more to your body than you realize? You might not talk about it out loud. You probably don't bring it up at the dinner table or even in the doctor's office. But behind closed doors, in the stillness of your own space, it happens. And here's the real question. What if that daily habit, something you've done for years, was silently shaping the health of your prostate every single day? I mean, really think about that. Not just in the moment, but long after. What if this one small act that we rarely speak of was either quietly protecting your body or slowly working against it without you even knowing? Now, if you're over 60, this matters more than ever. Because at this age, prostate health isn't just a concern, it can be life-changing. And yet, hardly anyone talks about the real connection between sexual habits and the prostate. Most of us were taught to keep this stuff hush-hush, to feel embarrassed or ashamed. But here's the truth, understanding what goes on in your own body is not dirty, it's not shameful, it's smart, it's responsible, it's empowering. So today, we're breaking that silence. We're getting honest, we're getting clear, and we're answering the question that many men have been too afraid or too embarrassed to ask out loud. What does daily masturbation really do to your prostate? In this video, you'll discover what recent science says about this intimate habit. You'll hear about myths you've probably believed for years that could be holding you back. And you'll learn what happens inside your body, from your hormones to your urinary flow to your emotional well-being when you engage in this common natural activity. And believe me, some of what you'll hear will surprise you, maybe even shock you. But that's the whole point. We're not here to judge. We're here to understand. And once you understand what's really going on, you'll be in a much better position to care for your body, especially your prostate, in a way that truly helps you flourish after 60. So before we dive deep, I'd love for you to be part of the conversation. Drop a comment below with where you're watching from and what time it is right now. Let's see how far our Flourish After 60 family really reaches. And hey, if you're passionate about aging with strength, dignity, and clarity, hit that subscribe button right now. Because here, we don't just talk about getting older, we talk about how to do it better. Now, let's begin. First truth, it may reduce prostate cancer risk. Now let's talk about something that might just flip everything you thought you knew about prostate health on its head. Back in 2016, there was this man, a retired school teacher, lived a quiet life. Early mornings, crossword puzzles, coffee by the window. John was always the kind of man who took care of himself, ate well, walked daily, saw his doctor on schedule. But during one of his routine checkups, his urologist said something that left him stunned. "John," the doctor said, "there's some research showing that regular ejaculation could actually help reduce your risk of prostate cancer." John blinked. He thought he'd misheard. He even chuckled awkwardly and said, "You're serious?" But the doctor was serious. And as strange as it sounded, the science backed it up. You see, a study, yes, a real one, published by Harvard University, followed over 30,000 men for nearly 2 decades. And it found that men who ejaculated 21 times or more per month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who did so just 4 to 7 times. Now you might be thinking, what does ejaculation have to do with cancer prevention? Well, here's the theory. Every time you ejaculate, you're helping your body flush out toxins, waste, and potentially harmful substances that could be building up inside the prostate ducts. It's kind of like clearing out the pipes in an old house. If you let the water just sit there for too long, things can start to build up, bacteria, pressure, even rust. But when there's flow, when things are moving, there's less chance for trouble to take hold. It's the same idea with your prostate. And yet, here's where it gets interesting. Many older men believe the opposite. They think, maybe I should stop. Maybe I'm too old for this. Maybe it drains my energy or damages my body. Some even feel like they should give it up entirely, as if it's only meant for the young. But listen closely. That belief, that complete abstinence is somehow always the healthier path? It's not necessarily true. Too much holding back can actually increase pressure, increase stress, and may even contribute to inflammation. That's not to say you should start chasing numbers or keeping tally marks on a wall. It's not about how much, it's about how balanced your habits are. What matters is that you stay in tune with your body. If you're healthy, if it feels good and you're doing it safely, there may actually be some quiet, invisible benefits happening behind the scenes. So no, you're not too old. And no, it's not shameful. In fact, it might just be part of a bigger picture in taking care of yourself as you age. But, and this is a big but, before we start celebrating too early, there's another side to the coin. Because while moderate healthy sexual activity may help, too much of it, done the wrong way, or at the wrong time, could actually cause irritation and do more harm than good. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack next. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear might explain some of those strange, uncomfortable symptoms you thought were just part of aging. Let's keep going. Second truth: over-masturbation can irritate the prostate. Now, while that first truth sounds promising, maybe even a bit liberating, let's not get too carried away just yet. Because, like most things in life, balance is everything. And that brings us to something a little more uncomfortable, but just as important.
A few months ago, we received a message from a viewer.
He wrote, "I'm 68, relatively healthy, still active, but recently, I've noticed that after I masturbate, I get this weird pressure right around my bladder, almost like I still have to pee, but I don't. It's not painful, just uncomfortable. Should I be worried?" Now, if you're listening to this and nodding your head, maybe because you've felt the same thing, you're not alone. This is more common than you think. And most men don't talk about it because, well, it's awkward. But here's the thing, that pressure, that post-masturbation discomfort, it might not be something serious like prostate cancer. It might not even be a urinary tract infection. It could simply be irritation from overuse. See, when you masturbate frequently, especially without enough time for your body to recover or without proper lubrication, you're placing stress on a very delicate system. Your prostate, your pelvic floor muscles, your nerves, even the surrounding tissues, they all work together during ejaculation. And when you overstimulate them without rest, things can get inflamed, tight, and uncomfortable. In fact, there's a name for it. Prostatitis-like symptoms. Not an infection, but inflammation. A feeling of pressure, urgency, maybe even a dull ache in the lower abdomen or groin. And here's where the confusion starts. Because when most men feel discomfort down there, especially at our age, the mind jumps straight to the worst-case scenario. Is it cancer? Is my bladder failing? Is this the beginning of something I can't come back from? But often, the reality is far less dramatic. It's not a disease, it's strain. It's your body saying, "Hey, I need a breather, let me rest." Now let's talk about some of the mistakes we tend to make when we ignore that signal. Some men keep pushing through the discomfort, thinking it'll go away. Others try to reset by going again too soon, which only makes it worse. And a few don't change anything at all, until one day, the discomfort turns into real pain. Let me be clear here. Masturbation isn't the enemy. But doing it every single day without variation, without lubrication, and without listening to how your body reacts, can cause more harm than good. Especially if you already have an enlarged prostate, or if you've dealt with urinary or pelvic issues in the past. So what can you do? Here's what I recommend. From one aging man to another, someone who values dignity, comfort, and long-term well-being. First, if you notice soreness or discomfort after you masturbate, slow down. Give your body time to recover. Try spacing it out every couple of days or even once or twice a week and see how you feel. Second, if you're not already using lubrication, dry stimulation can irritate nerve endings and tissues, especially as our skin becomes thinner and more sensitive with age. Third, be mindful of your position. Sometimes, the way we sit or lie down during stimulation can put pressure on the lower back and pelvis, leading to referred pain or tension afterward. And finally, don't suffer in silence. If you've made these adjustments and the discomfort sticks around, talk to your doctor. A simple checkup can rule out serious conditions and help put your mind at ease. Because here's the truth, your body is talking to you. It's not trying to scare you, it's asking you to listen. And the more we pay attention, the more we can respond, not with fear, but with wisdom. But as important as the physical side is, there's another layer to all this that most people never think to examine. A layer that goes beyond the body and deep into the mind. Because for many older men, this habit isn't just about release. It's about emotions, loneliness, stress, sometimes even grief. Let's talk about that next. Truth number 3. It can affect hormone levels and sleep. Now let's talk about something that's a bit more subtle, but just as powerful. It's not something you can always see or even feel right away. But it touches everything: your mood, your energy, your sleep, and even your ability to think clearly. I'm talking about your hormones. And how daily masturbation, something that seems so routine, so harmless, can have unexpected effects on them, especially as we age. I want to introduce you to Frank. Frank is 72, retired from a lifelong career in civil service. He's a thinker, reads a lot, very in tune with how his body feels. He told me once, "When I do it every now and then, once or twice a week, I slept like a baby. Felt clear-headed the next day. But when I started doing it every day, just out of habit, I started waking up groggy, felt a bit down, foggy, like I wasn't really myself." Now Frank's not alone. You see, every time a man ejaculates, the body releases a surge of hormones. It's like a chemical symphony: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and then prolactin. These are the same chemicals that play a role in how we feel pleasure, connection, relaxation, and even how we sleep. But here's where it gets tricky. Prolactin, for instance, spikes right after orgasm. It's the hormone that makes you feel sleepy, even drowsy, which is why many men feel that warm, heavy feeling right after climax. In moderation, this is a good thing. It can help calm you down, lower stress, even support better sleep. But in excess, too much of this hormonal release, especially day after day, can lead to imbalance. You start to feel tired more often. You lose that spark, that edge. Sometimes you even notice your emotions changing, mood swings, irritability, or just a general lack of motivation. And the big one? Testosterone. Now, testosterone naturally declines as you age. That's normal. It's part of the journey. But when you engage in frequent ejaculation, especially without rest or variety, studies suggest your short-term testosterone levels can drop even lower. And for a man over 60 already navigating lower hormone levels, that drop can make a real difference. It can leave you feeling weaker, more fatigued, and even less mentally sharp. Now, this doesn't mean you have to stop altogether. Not at all. But it does mean you need to pay attention. Because here's the truth. What used to energize you at 25 might not have the same effect at 60. Your body has changed. Your hormones have shifted. And the key to feeling your best now isn't to chase your younger self. It's to listen to the version of you that exists today. So, if you notice that daily masturbation is leaving you drained instead of refreshed, if your sleep is shallow, your energy feels off, or your mind feels foggy, it may be time to rethink the rhythm of your routine. Start tracking how you feel. Not obsessively, but with curiosity. Notice how your body responds after a day of rest versus a day of stimulation. Does your sleep improve? Do you wake up clearer? Do Do you feel more in control of your emotions? That's your body talking to you. And it's not about guilt. It's not about shame. It's about harmony, finding the pace that works for the man you are now. Because when you respect your body's signals, it responds. It heals. It strengthens. It finds balance. And speaking of balance, there's one more area where daily masturbation can tip the scales without warning. An area most men never link to sexual habits. But if you've ever found yourself standing at the toilet, frustrated by a weak or delayed stream, or rushing to the bathroom more often than you used to, then what I'm about to share next might just explain why. Let's talk about your urinary flow and how this private habit might be playing a bigger role than you think. Truth number 4, it affects urinary function and flow. Now let's talk about something a lot of men brush off. Maybe you've even experienced it yourself, but never really gave it much thought. You go to the bathroom after you've just ejaculated, and suddenly your stream is weak, or delayed, or you're straining to start. Sometimes it even splits, sprays, or stops halfway. Most men chalk it up to age. Some just laugh it off, saying it's just one of those old man problems. But here's what most don't realize. It's not always your bladder. It might be your prostate reacting to what just happened. See, your prostate isn't just some separate little organ sitting quietly doing its own thing. It plays a huge role in both your sexual function and your urinary system. When you ejaculate, the prostate contracts. That's normal. It helps push fluid through during climax. But after that contraction, the prostate can swell a little. Not permanently, but temporarily. That swelling can press against your urethra, which is the narrow tube that carries urine from your bladder out of your body. So if you're noticing that your urine stream is slower or harder to start right after you've finished, that's not a coincidence. It's your body adjusting. And here's the part many men don't realize. If you already have an enlarged prostate, what doctors call BPH or benign prostatic hyperplasia, then that temporary swelling on top of an already tight space, that can make things feel even worse. Suddenly, what used to be a normal trip to the bathroom feels like a challenge. You're standing there waiting, pushing, maybe going twice because you didn't empty everything the first time, and it's frustrating. It can even be a little scary, especially if it catches you off guard. But here's what I want you to understand. This doesn't mean something is terribly wrong. It just means your body needs a little more time to regulate. Now, of course, if this keeps happening all the time, if it's painful, or if you're waking up multiple times a night to pee, or if you notice blood, burning, or anything that feels off, you should absolutely talk to your doctor. Always better to be safe. But if this is happening just after you've ejaculated, especially if it clears up within a few hours or by the next day, then what you're likely experiencing is a temporary response from your prostate, not a full-blown medical emergency. So, what can you do? Here's a few simple things that can make a real difference. First, space out your sexual activity. Give your body time between sessions, especially if you've noticed a pattern in your urinary changes. Second, drink more water. Staying hydrated can help reduce the concentration of irritants in your system and promote smoother flow overall. Third, don't panic. Anxiety can actually make things worse. The more you stress about peeing, the harder it becomes. Breathe, relax, let your body do what it knows how to do. And most importantly, don't feel ashamed to bring it up. You're not broken. You're not alone. This is part of aging, and the more we talk about it, the more we learn how to manage it without fear. Because let me tell you something, taking care of your prostate isn't just about avoiding cancer. It's about protecting your comfort, your independence, and your peace of mind. Now, so far, we've talked about the physical side of things: cancer risk, irritation, hormones, and urinary health. But there's one more piece of the puzzle, a piece that runs even deeper than your body, one that touches your emotions, your habits, your sense of connection to the world around you. Because for many older men, masturbation isn't just about pleasure, it's about loneliness, routine, sometimes even sadness. Let's talk about the psychological side of this, because it might be affecting more than just your prostate. It might be shaping the way you feel every single day. Truth number 5. Psychological effects. Loneliness versus self-care. Let's pause for a moment. Because everything we've talked about so far, from hormone shifts, to urinary changes, to cancer risk and irritation, all of that is important. But there's one layer even deeper than the physical, a layer we rarely acknowledge, but that many of us live inside of every single day. And that's how this habit affects your heart, your emotions, your mind. Let me tell you about Robert. He's 75 now, widowed, a quiet man, keeps a small garden. He's got a sharp memory, warm smile, but there's a softness in his eyes when he talks about the evenings. One day he said to me, "Sometimes I don't do it because I want to. I do it just to feel connected to myself. It's the only time the silence feels a little less loud." And when he said that, I didn't laugh. I didn't dismiss it, because I knew exactly what he meant. You see, as we get older, the world gets quieter. The phone doesn't ring as much. The kids are grown. The spouse, maybe, is no longer there. And in that stillness, it's easy to forget you're still a person, with needs, desires, feelings. For some men, masturbation becomes a form of comfort. Not lust, not addiction, just reassurance. A reminder that you're still here, that your body still works, that there's still something that's yours. And you know what? That's okay, because sexual health isn't just about the body. It's emotional health. It's part of your identity, and it doesn't switch off at 60. But here's where things can start to shift in a less healthy direction. When that habit stops being about care and starts becoming a kind of emotional crutch. When you start doing it, not because you want to, but because you don't know what else to feel. Because the loneliness is too much. Because you don't want to face the silence. Because you're not sure how to cope with sadness or boredom. That's when it can quietly slip from self-care into something that weighs you down. Not physically, but emotionally. It can lead to guilt, to shame, to hiding parts of yourself, even from yourself. And shame is heavy, friend. Especially when it's been sitting in your chest for decades. Some older men grow up believing that touching themselves is wrong, that it's sinful or dirty or weak. And those beliefs, they don't just go away with age. They stick around, quietly shaping how you see yourself, how you treat your own body. So here's what I want to tell you today. You are not broken. You are not shameful. You are not too old to care for your emotional well-being. What you do with your own body, in your own time, in a healthy and respectful way, that's not shameful. That's ownership. But you deserve more than just survival. You deserve real connection. Not just physical release, but touch, laughter, conversation. You deserve to feel seen, heard, respected, even when you're alone. So if you find yourself relying too much on masturbation as a way to fill that emotional gap, if it's become your go-to when you're feeling low, bored, or anxious, I want you to know you're not alone. And there are other ways to fill that space. Call someone, even if you haven't spoken in years. Join a community center, even once a week. Talk to a therapist, yes, even now. Especially now. Try journaling. Volunteer. Take a walk and look someone in the eye when you say hello. And maybe, just maybe, start seeing this part of yourself not as a secret, but as a signal that you still feel, that you still want connection, that you still deserve joy. Because self-care isn't just a buzzword. It's how you remind yourself that you matter. Masturbation, in balance, can absolutely be part of that. But it shouldn't be the only thing holding you together. You are so much more than that. You are a whole person. Still learning, still growing, still worthy of care. Now, we've talked about the physical truths. We've talked about the emotional truths, and together they paint a full picture of what this habit does to your prostate, your hormones, your heart, your sleep, your spirit. But before we wrap up, there's something we need to talk about: the emotional weight this topic carries and how you can move forward from awareness to real healing action. Let's go there, because that's where the hope lives. You know, it's not easy talking about this. Not at this age. Not in this world where men are taught from a young age to be tough, to push their feelings aside, to ignore discomfort, and especially to stay silent about anything remotely personal. But here we are, you and me, having one of the most honest conversations most men will never have. And I just want to say, that takes courage. Because the truth is, it can feel awkward. It can feel lonely. And yes, at times it can even feel painful to examine these parts of yourself that you've kept private for so long. But awkward doesn't mean wrong, and uncomfortable doesn't mean unworthy. If anything, these topics matter more now than ever before, because when you understand what's really happening in your body, when you shed the shame, when you learn to read the signs, feel the shifts, and respond with compassion, you take your power back. This conversation we're having, it's not about stopping anything. It's not about promoting anything either. It's about something much deeper. Balance, awareness, choice. It's about understanding how your daily habits, especially the ones you do when no one's watching, can either support your health or slowly chip away at it. And once you have that awareness, once you see the full picture, you're free to decide what's best for you. Maybe you'll talk to your doctor. Maybe you'll adjust your routine. Maybe you'll reflect on how you're really feeling, not just in your body, but in your heart. Because this isn't just about your prostate. It's about your peace of mind, your dignity, your ability to age with intention, not just reaction. And that's the most powerful thing of all. So, no matter what your past has looked like, no matter what your relationship with this topic has been,
I want you to hear this loud and clear.
you are not alone. There are thousands, millions of men just like you, quietly navigating this same path. And the more we bring these things to light, the more we create space for healing, understanding, and strength. Aging doesn't have to mean confusion. It doesn't have to mean fear. It can mean clarity. It can mean growth. It can even mean freedom, the kind that comes from knowing your body and caring for it with intention. So, as we wrap up this moment together, I just want to leave you with this. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're learning, growing, and you can still flourish. Now, let's recap what we've learned today. So, here's what we've uncovered together. Daily ejaculation might help reduce the risk of prostate cancer, according to studies. 2. But overuse or improper technique can cause irritation and even mimic signs of serious problems. 3. It affects your hormones, especially prolactin and testosterone, which can shift your mood, energy, and sleep. 4. It can temporarily impact your urinary flow and bladder control, particularly if you already have an enlarged prostate. 5. And maybe most importantly, it carries emotional weight. It touches our loneliness, our habits, and our need for comfort. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these points surprised you the most? Have you experienced something similar yourself? Maybe you've kept it quiet for years. Maybe this is the first time you're really thinking about it. Whatever your story, I want to invite you to share it below. No shame, no judgment, just real men talking about real things. Because that's how healing begins. And hey, if you appreciate this kind of honest, respectful conversation, if you believe in learning, growing, and caring for your health then I'd love for you to be part of this journey. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join the Flourish After 60 community. We talk about the things most people are too afraid to say out loud, but we do it with warmth, respect, and truth. There's so much more coming. Topics about aging, vitality, relationships, and health. Because we're not done growing just because the calendar says we're older. So thank you, truly, for watching, for listening, for being open. Take care of your body. Be kind to yourself. Ask the hard questions. And remember, you can still flourish after 60. I'll see you in the next one. Stay well, stay strong, and stay curious.